and my presentation is a really hot one in the industry right now, Automotive Disruption, Millennials, Mobile, and Marketing from a Real Millennial. So first of all, let me address the elephant in the room. A lot of you are probably wondering, what's this millennial doing on stage? What's his expertise in the automotive industry? He looks like he's my son's age. Well, I started out in the car business here in Georgia when I was 19 years old working at a Sandy Springs dealership. And it was there that I really fell in love with the automotive industry. And I also saw areas where I could help dealers improve their processes. My company, Selly Automotive, is a Silicon Valley-based dealership software company. We have a CRM solution that's used by independent dealerships, buy here, pay here's, mom and pop shops, multi-rooftops. And I talk with dealers on a daily basis, just like yourself, and we work with dealers both domestically and internationally. Over the past 2 years, I've also established myself as a thought leader in the industry. I write for a lot of the dealership magazines, as well as CNBC, Forbes, and TechCrunch. One of my favorite shows on television right now is Marcus Lemonis's The Profit. And on The Profit, it follows Marcus as he goes into struggling businesses and he turns them around. And he preaches what he calls the 3 Ps. That's people, process, and product. And I think that relates to what a lot of us do at our dealerships. The people, that's your staff. The product, that's your inventory. And then there's the process. And the process is what every single speaker and vendor at GIADA is trying to help your dealership improve upon. Well, I'm here today to talk to you guys about the 3 M's. That's millennials, mobile, and marketing. So whether you're a general manager, sales manager, F&I manager, I want you to walk away from my presentation with 1 or 2 points that you could actually implement into your dealership strategy. I'm going to talk to you today about marketing to millennials, both online and offline. I'm going to show you why you need to get your dealership's online and social media presence in check. I'm going to talk about all the disruption going on in Silicon Valley. I'm going to show you must-have solutions for your dealership and why you need to leverage mobile. First of all, let's talk about millennials, also referred to as Gen Y. Back in 2013, that cover right there, that's Time magazine, and they hailed the millennials as the me generation. They're narcissistic, they live at home with their parents, and they can't find jobs. Well, that was 2013. Over the past couple years, that perception of the millennial audience has dramatically changed. And for those of you wondering, what exactly is a millennial? It's an individual between the ages of 20 and 37. There are around 80 million of them in the United States. They have discretionary spending of over $400 billion. They accounted for around 1/4 of new car vehicle purchases last year. So they're buying cars. In fact, they've already surpassed Gen X, that's the previous generation, in new car vehicle purchases, and they'll be approaching the baby boomers before you know it. And the OEMs, they already realize that millennials buy cars. Look at Fiat, for instance. That whole vehicle lineup, everything from the marketing, the style, it's all geared towards the millennial audience. And even the luxury OEMs, they realize that millennials buy cars. Look at the Mercedes-Benz CLA, the Audi A3. These entry-level luxury vehicles are all geared towards the millennial demographic. One of the most unique things about this millennial demographic is they have more options to utilize transportation than any other generation before. They could use a rideshare service like Uber or Lyft. They could buy a new car directly from Tesla. They could buy a used car online from Shift, Carvana, BP. They have so many options to utilize transportation. And there's been a lot of hot headlines lately about the automotive industry and some of these disruptors. For instance, General Motors, an OEM, they invested $500 million in Lyft at a $5.5 billion valuation. Ford, they've partnered with Google to build self-driving cars. And then Amazon, they want to connect the vehicle and the home. And this year at CES, which is one of the biggest electronics shows, automotive technology stole the show. Another hot topic in the industry right now is automotive and e-commerce. Millennials, they're used to going on Amazon and getting 2-day shipping on whatever they want. In the San Francisco area where I'm from, it's 2-hour shipping. And they'd like to see that with purchasing a car online. So I'm going to show you Carvana's vision of millennials in automotive e-commerce.
Oh, you actually bought that car online yesterday.
Yeah.
You really that lazy?
Lazy? Lazy as in the mother of invention? Maybe I should go to the grocery store like a normal person. But I choose delivery for my kumquats. And I choose to have a robot vacuum my floor. Who else is gonna do that, you? Me? Ugh, I choose to ride the escalator going down and to stream movies I own on DVD and to let social media remember birthdays for me. I choose to wear the internet on my face. It's open.
Hey, your car's here.
Nice. So I say to you what everyone knows. Where there's a will, there's always a way to make it easier. So you can judge me for choosing to date people by computational algorithm, but you'll never get me to ask for a date in person, like some sort of animal, or do anything else the old way, Doug. And yes, I choose to buy a Carvana car from my couch and have it delivered to my front door with a 7-day test phone. Because what you call lazy, I call brilliant!
Millennials, right? So automotive e-commerce is getting a lot of venture capital investment. In fact, companies like Vroom, Carvana, BP, and Shift have raised over $450 million in VC funding. And you even have OEMs like GM with their online factory collection, where they not only sell, they also lease used cars. And that brings me to my next subject, and that's used car leasing. It's another hot topic in the industry. Everyone from BP to General Motors are leasing used cars. And we're already familiar with that, with lease here, pay here dealerships, but it's becoming a lot more mainstream now. And with millennials, leasing accounted for 29% of their purchases. Another interesting point, 78% of vehicles purchased by millennial consumers were pre-owned vehicles last year. Here's an interesting story. So I was in San Francisco and I stopped by a local mall and I saw Uber recruiting at the local mall. And one of their reps came up to me trying to get me to become an Uber driver. So I obliged and listened to his pitch. I'm not interested in being an Uber driver. But one thing that really stood out to me, and I don't know if they're doing this here yet, but for $250 down, regardless of your credit, Uber will actually lease a used car, unlimited mileage. So what are all the key takeaways from the disruption going on right now? Well, the automotive industry is definitely hot with VC investment, specifically in e-commerce. There's a lot of momentum to simplify and digitize the buying process, moving that online. And millennials, they're at the forefront of all this disruption. So I've talked to you about millennials as consumers, but what about millennials at your dealership? So here's a really interesting study from Forbes, and some of these statistics might be contrarian to the average dealership. 88% of millennials want a collaborative work environment rather than a competitive one. 74% want flexible work schedules, and 88% want work-life integration. Is this how you describe life at your dealership? I have an interesting video I'm going to show you guys, and it's about hiring millennials in the workplace, and I'm sure a lot of you would get a kick out of this.
So, Marathon Industries, give me a breakdown.
It's a B2B company that provides cloud storage for Fortune 500 companies.
Chet, what did the market research turn up?
What? Oh, I Googled them, but the results were weird.
You didn't use the market research database that we spend thousands of dollars a month on and that you were specifically trained to use.
I quit. This job is different than I thought it would be.
Stop. Does this situation look familiar? A new type of worker has entered the workforce. They're called millennials, and they're terrible. Today, I'm going to teach you all about this new breed of worker so you can avoid misunderstandings in which you feel the need to fire them immediately. In the first reimagination we just saw, Mary makes the classic mistake of not reassuring Chet while offering overflowing amounts of praise.
Chet, you were so smart to use Google. That's the perfect way to start the research. You're so smart.
Great job.
So how do you capture millennial mindshare? How do you reach them and win them over? Where do you find them? And how do you bring them into your dealership? That's through all things digital and social. Let's move on to your dealership's online presence. Again, your dealership website is becoming your digital showroom. Deloitte, they did a study. Your average consumer, they're spending 10 hours shopping online before setting foot in your showroom. And millennials, they love social media. They're spending nearly 4 hours a day on social media, and they're the ones who are going to write a Facebook review or a Yelp review, whether they have a good experience or a bad experience at your dealership. And here's another interesting statistic. 43% of car buyers would use Facebook when searching for a local dealership. So I've talked to you about how millennials have their information readily available online through their social media accounts. But how do you leverage that as a dealership? Well, let's start out with a CRM. So for those of you wondering what a CRM is, it's a customer relationship management system. It allows you to follow up with clients, manage internet leads. Let's say you have a new customer, a fresh up or an internet lead, and your CRM gives you the ability to search on social. So you could pull their Facebook profile up, see if there's any common interests, talking points, or you could search them on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is literally the most underutilized social media network by dealers. I'll give you a story of how I used it back in the day, many years ago, at a dealership that I worked at. So I had an investment banker come in, 8:59 p.m., right before we closed, didn't have time to test drive a car. The only means of follow-up I had with him was his business card. On his business card, he had his office line. It's pretty hard to get hold of an investment banker. He had his business email. It was literally, my email was going into his spam box. So what did I do? I went on LinkedIn, found him within a minute, and sent him a LinkedIn email message. The great thing about a LinkedIn email message, it's going to give them a notification on LinkedIn, and it's also going to send them an email to their personal email because the majority of individuals registered their LinkedIn accounts with their personal email. But LinkedIn has a lot more robust features than just that. For instance, if you have a customer you sold and you get a notification that he has a new job, he's VP of sales now, that's a great reason to reach out to him and sell him a new car. Or they have a really robust marketing and advertising solution. Most dealerships aren't even leveraging, so there's little competition. And what you could do is really interesting things like you could target, for instance, CEOs in your area and target them with ads for Highline vehicles. But there are many other use cases, and I'd encourage all your salespeople to make LinkedIn accounts and connect with customers that they sell. So I've talked to you about assessing your customers' social media, but how do dealers assess your social media? So here's an interesting list of the most popular social media networks for millennials. Facebook's at the top, and then you have services like Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest. Well, Zach, what are these? Lucky for you, I've had some time to put together some short summaries of what these networks are. So Snapchat, it's already being leveraged by some of the OEMs. Your kids are probably using it. Basically what it is, it's a messaging service where you send out chats, pictures, or videos that disappear after a set amount of time. And it's a really popular network amongst millennials. And then there's Instagram. I know a couple Highline dealerships that are already leveraging Instagram, not just to showcase inventory, but also to generate leads. So Instagram allows you to post photos and videos, and you could do filters, and a lot of car enthusiasts leverage this network. And then there's Pinterest. Similar to Instagram, you could post photos. You could link those photos to your dealership website, to inventory pages. They help build your SEO. And 42% of women that use the internet use Pinterest. And we all know that women play a major role in any automotive car buying decision. So let's talk about the two most popular networks for independent dealers, Facebook and Twitter. I assume the majority of you have these two pages. And we work with a lot of dealers, and I put together a list of do's and don'ts for Facebook and Twitter. We'll start with Facebook. So oftentimes I'll go to a dealership Facebook page, and I'll see there are 10,000 likes and 0 comments, 0 reviews. To a customer, this does not come across as genuine, and it's pretty easy to tell if you have fake likes. And then reviews. As I mentioned earlier, 43% of car buyers are going to search a Facebook page. So make sure you have reviews from customers when they go to your Facebook page, and also make sure you update it on a regular basis and do not post generic content. You know, post interesting content. Don't just post pictures of your inventory. Here's an example of a really good Facebook page, over 25,000 likes, post a lot of interesting content, a lot of great reviews. Let's move on to Twitter. So Twitter is another really popular social media network, and the #1 mistake I always see dealers make, they connect their Facebook page to the Twitter page because it's easier, and whatever they post on Facebook is posted on Twitter. Well, there are a couple problems with this. #1, you're going to lose the image, and tweets with an image have a 94% higher chance of being retweeted. And then, a lot of the times, you're not going to have hashtags. The whole point of Twitter is to leverage trending topics and hashtags. And just like Facebook, keep it updated on a regular basis and don't post generic content. Here's an interesting Twitter page. A lot of likes, retweets. It's a Mercedes dealership. And they post interesting stuff, not just about automotive. They have a little fun, like National Dog Day, for instance. So I've talked to you about your dealership's online presence and your brand, but your salespeople, they need a brand too. A lot of new car dealers, push their sales reps to make video test drives. That's a great way to build your SEO, add that personal touch about your dealership, and also add some exposure for your sales rep. One of the trainers who used to do a really good job with managing internet leads is Elise Kephart. So I'm going to show you this video, and then I'll talk about it afterwards.
Hi, my name's Elise Kephart over here at Sunset Honda in San Luis Obispo. I wanted to send you this personalized video greeting so you could put a face with a name, who is going to be working for you, and also to thank you again for your internet request. I just left a voicemail for you. My number here directly is area code 805-540-6666. As mentioned, I have some great news for you. It is pretty early here in the morning. I'm going to be in the office until about 6 p.m. this evening, and if I don't hear from you this morning, I will reach out to you a little later today. Thanks so much again, and here are a few testimonials from some of my customers.
Elise is awesome and really easy to work with.
I got a good price, I got good service, prompt, knowledgeable.
My purchase with Elise was the best car buying experience.
I've purchased a lot of cars in my lifetime, and this has been the best experience working with Elise.
So when she worked in the business, every internet lead she would get, she would send them a custom video. And she had it down to a science where it only took about 2 to 3 minutes of her time to put this together. Any salesperson could do it. You don't have to have the testimonial section. You could just record a YouTube video, and it will differentiate you from your competition, help build that salesperson's brand, and I'd suggest doing it. So another problem, a lot of dealerships, when I go on their website and click their staff page, I have no idea who their sales reps are. It's blank. Well, Zach, what's the problem with this? The problem with this is you could actually lose business. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm looking for a bilingual sales rep, and I go to your staff page and I see no one. I don't know that you have a Spanish-speaking sales rep who could help me. But if you have a Meet Our Staff page that's more filled out, and you give information, like for instance, this sales rep is bilingual, then that's a great way for me to see that you offer that service and come into your dealership. Let's talk about mobile. It's 2016. Mobile is king. 2/3 of Americans own a smartphone. Millennials, they spend over 4 hours a day on their smartphone, and NCM reported that 40% of dealership website traffic is coming from mobile. And the best way to reach these millennial consumers via mobile is through texting. 98% of text messages are read versus just 22% with emails. And here's another statistic I'm even guilty of myself. 80% of millennials sleep with their smartphone. So the question is, why do millennials prefer to communicate via text as opposed to email or a traditional phone call? They like to skip the small talk and get straight to the point. But if you're going to text millennials, you need to make sure you're compliant. There's something called TCPA, and it's texting guidelines for any sort of business. So a couple dealer groups have been in lawsuits because they've not sent opt-in messages to customers and they haven't been compliant. And your dealership could potentially get fined $500 to $1,500 per text message that's not compliant with an opt-in. A lot of CRM products have this functionality. Some DMS systems have it, and they're also third-party vendors, and it could potentially save you from a lawsuit. So let's move on to online presence and Google's Mobile Get an Update back in 2015. So what this update did is if your dealership website is not responsive, that means if it can't be viewed and formatted on mobile, you're not going to show as high in the rankings on Google. So I'll give you an example. If I search for a Ford Mustang in San Francisco, what do you think I'm going to see? I'm going to see all the internet lead providers, Car Gurus, Auto Trader, Cars.com, and so forth. And I'm not going to see your dealership website. But for argument's sake, let's say I do pull up your dealership website and you think you have a responsive website, but you don't. These are the two most common issues that I see with so-called responsive websites. Number one, if you have like a chat or a text us box that pops up, be mindful of that on mobile because it could actually block a menu. In this case, it's blocking the finance menu, and that would get a customer to probably go to a different site. And then formatting for text. If you have wonky text, different sizes, it's not really appealing to the consumer. And these are very easy to fix. All you have to do is have your sales team use different phones, go on your dealer website. If you see anything out of the ordinary, report it to your website vendor, and they should be able to address it promptly. So let's take mobile back to the dealership and talk about offline millennial interaction. So the best way to leverage this is with a mobile CRM. Dealers that use a mobile CRM are going to see a 25 to 35% increase in fresh ups entered into their system. But there are so many CRMs out there. What's the right one for me? Lucky for you, I put together a mobile CRM checklist. These are must-have tools on mobile. We'll start out with one of the most important features, the driver's license and VIN scanner. So instead of getting a customer, taking them back to the desk, sitting them down, and writing all their information into the system, you could simply scan the back of a driver's license, that barcode, it's called PDF 417, and it will instantly add it into your CRM. And then there's the VIN scanner. Instead of trying to write those 17 digits down, get a VIN scanner, scan the VIN, and it will quickly be added into your system. Number two, offline functionality. When I used to work on the lot, there were areas where I didn't have the best cellular reception or the best Wi-Fi reception. So make sure your mobile CRM has offline capabilities so you could still use it if you don't have the best reception. And then you need a native app and not a responsive web app. Well, what exactly is a native app? It's an app that you would download from the Android store or iTunes store that's specifically made for your device, while a web app is just going online and using a responsive version of your web CRM. And your mobile CRM needs to incorporate all the functionalities of your desktop version, and you have to have social media integration tools like looking up on Facebook or LinkedIn and sharing on social media. So let's move on to mobile marketing. As we all know, marketing on mobile is huge. 40% of your dealership's website traffic is coming in on mobile. And 63% of consumers are showrooming your dealership. When they're sitting down at your desk and they're on their mobile phone, what do you think they're doing? They're comparing your inventory to all your competition. They're comparing price and so forth. But how do you counter this? Two great ways to counter this is through geofencing and geoconquesting. This could potentially increase your foot traffic 2 to 3x. What is geofencing? Geofencing is when you target a specific geographic area around your dealership. You could serve custom ads, for instance. Maybe you have a 1-mile radius around your dealership, and anyone who comes in who's on their iPhone gets an iTunes gift card for a test drive, for instance. Or maybe you have a call to action for your service department. But let's take it a step further with geoconquesting. Geoconquesting allows you to target your competitor's lot, set geopoints around your competitor's lots, and when they're showrooming, they could see your targeted ad and you could potentially bring them back to your showroom. But how do you track all of this? Registered showroom visits. You need the ability to track customers from these ad views back into your showroom. A lot of marketing companies offer this. And then, once they leave those geographic areas, you need to retarget them through behavioral targeting, whether that's real-world activity or targeting other geo areas. So as we all know, mobile advertising is the future. And now, I want to close out with the last segment, and this is about independent dealership technology. This is my personal checklist I put together working with many, many dealer clients, independents, buyer payers. Number one solution you must have is a rock-solid DMS system. This is the central nervous system for your dealership. There are a lot of great vendors here today. Make sure that you have a rock-solid DMS. You need a responsive dealer website. This is an example of a bad website. When a customer goes and sees an outdated website, it's very off-putting to them. And it's really easy to get a clean, sleek website. They're pretty affordable. And again, this is your digital showroom. You need to make that investment. Maybe it's $100 more a month, but if it sells one more car a month, it's paid for itself. You need a mobile-first CRM, internet lead management system. At Selly Automotive, we do also offer a CRM system. So during the exhibit hall, feel free to stop by our booth, and we'd be more than happy to talk with you about our CRM products. You also need social media presence. You need to have a Facebook, a Twitter profile. It needs to be up to date. Digital marketing program, whether it's SEO, PPC, or more advanced targeting like geofencing, geoconquesting, you need to have a digital marketing program set up at your dealership. So let's revisit the 5 key objectives from my presentation. I've talked to you today about marketing to millennials online and offline. They're a huge consumer group, and they're just going to continue to grow, and they're also going to become part of your staff as well. I've shown you how to get your online and social media presence in check. Again, the do's and don'ts of Facebook and Twitter, as well as making sure you have a proper website. I've talked about all the disruption going on in Silicon Valley, whether that's Uber, BP, Tesla, and so forth. I've shown you the must-have dealership solutions, and I've showed you why you have to leverage mobile. So my last video is Carvana's perception of what the used car business may become. My question to you guys is, what is yours? So got a couple minutes left. One thing that I did not see in the deck that I had before is dealership email. So we work with a ton of dealerships, and oftentimes we see dealers still have their email address at Gmail, at Yahoo, or at AOL. To a consumer, this looks very unprofessional. It's very easy to get your own email account at your domain. What do I mean by that? I mean, instead of john@yahoo.com, john@abcmotors.com. At Selly Automotive, we also do sell emails starting at $1.99 a month. In addition to that, I think we have time maybe for one question. Could we do that, or no? All right, no problem.
All right, Zach, come on. Give Zach a real round of applause. Great job.
Thanks.